It is my absolute honor and pleasure to declare this year's One Young World Summit officially open.
For anyone who's able to make change.
Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans.
I was invited to pull up a seat at the table.
It is the story behind it.
Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time.
Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like I curtsied as though I was like...
This clip broke the internet, but here's what nobody tells you. That's not even close to the worst one. I spent 40 hours compiling every documented, verified, unedited clip of Meghan Markle that her PR team desperately wants buried. Netflix footage, Oprah sit-downs, Ellen disasters, award show moments where the mask cracked. After analyzing over 200 clips across her entire public timeline, I found a pattern. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. 20 moments. But here's what makes this different. They're ranked. Number 1 is awkward. Number 10 gets uncomfortable. But number 20, that's the one that made international headlines, triggered a legal response, and exposed something she's never been able to explain away. The narrative she's built for 5 years is about to collide with the footage that contradicts it. Every single clip. And I guarantee, before we even hit number 10, you'll remember one I didn't include. Drop it in the comments. Let's see if the audience catches what I missed. Let's start small, awkward, almost forgivable. But pay attention, because by number 10, the pattern will be impossible to ignore. And by number 20, you'll understand why this compilation exists. Number 1, the Sandringham Curtsy. Watch this.
Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like I curtsied as though I was like... Pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty.
In the Netflix documentary, Meghan demonstrated how she first curtsied to the Queen. Arms out, dramatic dip, full theatrical bow, like she was auditioning for a period drama. Royal watchers immediately noticed something. That's not how anyone curtsies to the Queen. It was exaggerated, performative. It became a meme, not a tribute, a punchline. Catherine's first curtsy, subtle, dignified. 2 seconds, that's protocol. Watch the clip again. Is this someone sharing a genuine memory or someone giving a performance? I've watched it probably 20 times. Every time I'm struck by how theatrical it is. The difference between memory and performance matters. And here's the thing. If you're going to mock a tradition, at least mock it accurately. What she demonstrated wasn't even close to how curtsies work. It was a caricature. Whether that was intentional mockery or genuine confusion about protocol, neither explanation looks good. But the curtsy was just physical. Wait until you hear what she said with words. Number 2, I didn't do any research.
Well, I didn't do any research about what that would mean.
You didn't do any research?
No.
She said she didn't Google him, didn't research the royal family, went in completely blind.
About
You
what
didn't
that
do
would
any
mean.
research?
No. I've never looked up my husband online.
A former Hollywood actress, a lifestyle blogger known for being media savvy and strategic. She's asking us to believe she didn't Google the Prince of England before their first date.
The TIG is a lifestyle site that I launched last year. Fashion, food, travel, beauty. It's my baby. I love it. I hope you do too.
People started digging. Old interviews surfaced. Blog posts mentioning the royals emerged. The narrative didn't hold. Once you lose credibility on one claim, people start questioning everything. And she had 19 more moments to go. Maybe she meant she didn't do extensive research. Maybe she was exaggerating for dramatic effect. But the claim was so absolute, I didn't even Google him, that when evidence emerged to the contrary, it became a credibility problem that follows her to this day. But saying something questionable in an interview is one thing. What she did on daytime television, that's something else entirely. Number 3, The Ellen Show appearance. November 2021. Ellen had Meghan wear an earpiece and follow instructions with vendors outside the studio. She crouched behind a table, did a little dance, acted like a cat drinking milk, said, "Mommy wants some hot sauce." She left the royal family because of the lack of dignity, because of relentless media pressure, because she couldn't be herself. Yet here she was, doing awkward comedy bits for daytime TV. How do you claim you left because of the spotlight, while chasing the spotlight with both hands? Look, I understand needing income after leaving the royals. I understand wanting to rebuild a public image, but crouching behind a table pretending to be a cat? This clip follows her forever. There had to be a better way.
What does it mean to be a working royal?
What made it worse was the timing. This was after the Oprah interview, after the accusations against the royal family, after positioning herself as someone who'd been silenced and mistreated. And then, Mommy wants some hot sauce. The tonal whiplash was jarring, and it wasn't just the big moments. Once people started watching closely, they noticed patterns she probably hoped nobody would catch. Number 4, the hair adjustments. Count them. Seriously. Pick any Meghan appearance and count the hair touches. Interviews about serious topics, memorial events, formal occasions, the hair flipping never stops. Body language experts call this self-soothing, anxiety masked as habit. In moments that should be solemn, it reads as vanity taking priority. Once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. And it's not just occasional, it's constant. Memorial events, interviews about serious topics, moments that should be about something other than how your hair looks. The touching never stops. Whether it's nervousness or habit, it's become part of her signature, and not in a flattering way. The hair was unconscious, but what she did with her positioning, that looked deliberate. Number 5, the walking positioning. Royal watchers analyzed hours of footage. The pattern: Meghan consistently positions herself slightly ahead of Harry, grabs his hand and pulls, steps in front during photo ops. William and Catherine, side by side. Charles and Camilla, equal positioning. Watch any red carpet, any photo op. She's ahead, she's leading, she's in frame. The footage is there for anyone to watch. Is it controlling behavior? Is it just someone more comfortable leading? Is it a cultural difference between American and British couples? People have strong opinions, but the pattern is consistent enough that body language analysts have written about it. But positioning yourself in public photos is subtle. What she did with paparazzi was anything but. Number 6, the staged paparazzi shots. Early 2020. Candid photos emerged. Meghan hiking in Canada with her dogs and baby Archie. Natural, spontaneous. Except photographers noticed the setup seemed suspicious. The timing, the perfect framing, the scenic location where cameras happen to appear. You can't demand privacy while arranging photo opportunities. Well, you can, but people notice. Here's the pattern emerging. Privacy when it suits her. Publicity when it suits her. Remember this, it comes back in number 20. This wasn't a one-time thing either. There were beach photos, coffee run photos, various candid moments that professional photographers said had all the hallmarks of arranged shoots. The angles were too perfect, the timing too convenient, the locations too photogenic. The staging was visual. But then she launched a podcast, and people heard something they couldn't unhear. Number 7, the podcast voice.
Welcome to Archetypes. Let's do this. Testing 1, 2. Hello. I got a big thumbs up. I appreciate that. Okay. People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know. Certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
Archetypes launched. Listeners noticed immediately. Her voice was different, softer, breathier, almost therapeutic.
The TIG is a lifestyle site that I launched last year. Fashion, food, travel, beauty. It's my baby. I love it. I hope you do too.
Then someone compiled clips of Meghan speaking normally versus her podcast delivery.
Welcome to Archetypes. Let's do this. Testing 1, 2. Hello.
I got a big thumbs up. I appreciate that.
Okay. People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
The TIG is a lifestyle site that I launched last year. Fashion, food, travel, beauty. It's my baby. I love it. I hope you do too.
The difference was dramatic. If you're creating a whole new voice for your podcast about authenticity, what does that say about authenticity? The podcast voice became its own meme. People would imitate the breathy, slow delivery. It became shorthand for perceived inauthenticity. Whether it was coaching or personal choice, the contrast was too obvious to ignore. The voice was new, but the phrases, those she'd been recycling for years. Number 8, finding my voice. Count how many times Meghan has used finding my voice in interviews, Oprah, podcasts, magazine profiles, speaking engagements. If you've been finding your voice for 5 years straight, haven't you found it by now? The phrase became a shield. Any criticism gets reframed as silencing someone who's finding their voice. The critic looks like an oppressor rather than someone who simply disagrees. It's effective, it's strategic, and it's been used so many times that it's lost all meaning. When a phrase becomes a talking point, it stops being authentic. It starts being defense. Rehearsed phrases are one thing, but comparing yourself to a Disney character, that's where it gets interesting. Number 9, the Little Mermaid comparison. She compared joining the royal family to Ariel giving up her voice for Prince Eric. Ariel was a 16-year-old mermaid who made a deal with a sea witch. Meghan was a 36-year-old actress who chose to marry a prince. Also, Ariel got her voice back, got the prince, became royalty. If the analogy holds, things worked out pretty well. Comparing yourself to a Disney princess while discussing your marriage to an actual prince is a choice. It infantilizes the situation. It removes agency. It turns a complex adult decision into a children's story where she's the helpless heroine. Nobody forced her to marry Harry. Nobody made her join the royal family. She was a grown woman making informed choices. The Little Mermaid comparison only works if you ignore the part where Meghan had all the information and chose anyway. Big moments get analyzed, but sometimes the smallest gestures reveal the most. Number 10, the coat holding. We're halfway, and the moments are about to get heavier. Watch how Meghan handles her coat at public events. She removes it slowly, hands it off dramatically, arranges it just so. Other royals handle outerwear quickly, quietly, because it's not the point. Even removing a jacket becomes a performance. What does that tell you about everything else? I'm not saying being aware of cameras is bad. Every public figure thinks about optics. But there's a difference between being camera aware and turning every single moment into a photo opportunity. The coat removal is a small thing, but it's revealing of a larger pattern. Everything is curated. Small gestures matter, but the words she chose to describe herself, those mattered more. Number 11, humanitarian on repeat.
And I was surrounded by world leaders, humanitarians.
Count how many times she uses humanitarian to describe herself. Actual humanitarians, running refugee camps, providing medical care in war zones, rarely use that label. They just do the work. When someone uses it repeatedly, it starts feeling like marketing rather than mission. Diana was called a humanitarian by others. She never had to announce it. The work spoke for itself. When you have to keep telling people what you are, it starts to feel like you're trying to convince yourself as much as anyone else. The most impactful humanitarians are too busy doing the work to brand themselves. They don't need the label because their actions speak. When someone leads with the title rather than the work, it raises questions about priorities. How she described herself was revealing. But what she said about royal compensation, that hit different. Number 12, I wasn't being paid. In Netflix, Meghan commented she wasn't being paid for royal duties. Technically true. Royals don't receive per-event salaries, but she was living in palaces, wearing designer clothes, staff, security, private jets. The compensation wasn't a paycheck. It was an entire lifestyle funded by taxpayers. Most people would trade their salary for palace living, designer wardrobes, and round-the-clock staff. The framing of unpaid labor while living that life, that's what people remember about this comment. It revealed something about perspective. When you're living in a palace, it's hard to complain about not getting a paycheck and expect sympathy. The disconnect between the lifestyle and the complaint was stark. Tone-deaf comments are one thing, but timing can destroy relationships. Number 13, the pregnancy announcement timing. Princess Eugenie's wedding, October 2018. Her day, her celebration. The day Meghan and Harry announced Meghan's pregnancy to the family. You don't steal someone's wedding day. Royal or not, that's basic etiquette. Relationships were damaged. Eugenie was reportedly upset. Every family has someone who announces their engagement at someone else's birthday party. Every family has someone who makes every gathering about them. The difference is, most families don't have it documented for the world to analyze. Was it calculated? Was it just poor timing? Either way, the choice to share that news on Eugenie's wedding day became symbolic of something larger. The sense that Meghan couldn't let any spotlight exist without standing in it. Taking someone's moment is one thing, but what she did with Diana's image? That's where opinions really split. Number 14, the Diana outfit recreations. Multiple times. Same color as Diana, same silhouette, same accessories. The resemblance unmistakable. Some call it tribute. Others call it strategy. Borrowing Diana's goodwill because your own legacy isn't enough. Every recreation generates headlines. Every comparison reinforces association, tribute or calculation. Watch the footage and decide for yourself. But notice how often these tributes happened at moments when Meghan needed positive press. The timing was rarely random. The outfits were visual, but her claims about preparation? Those were verbal and verifiable. Number 15, there's no way I could have known. She's used variations repeatedly. No way to know how hard royal life would be. No way to prepare. But there were ways. Harry lived it his whole life. Other royal brides existed to study. The institution was observable. Claiming total ignorance from someone intelligent and media savvy strains credibility. You can acknowledge royal life was harder than expected without claiming blindness. One is sympathetic, the other undermines everything. She keeps choosing the version that undermines her own credibility. And that's the frustrating part. There's a version of this story that works. I knew it would be hard, but it was harder than I imagined. That's relatable. That's human. Instead, she chose the version that required us to believe she did zero preparation. That version doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Words can be analyzed, but physical performance? That's harder to hide. Number 16, the hand gestures.
Or anyone who's able to make change.
Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans.
I was invited to pull up a seat at the table.
It is the story behind it.
Watch any speech. The gestures are constant, emphatic, theatrical. Public speaking coaches say she's overtrained, gesturing for emphasis until the gestures become distracting rather than enhancing. Combined with the podcast voice, the rehearsed phrases, the positioning, nothing feels spontaneous. Everything feels performed. That's the pattern across all 20 moments. Not individual mistakes, a consistent approach to public appearance that prioritizes performance over authenticity. The gestures, the voice, the positioning, it all adds up to something that feels manufactured rather than genuine. Her performance was polished, but her podcast guests, they couldn't always hide their reactions. Number 17, the podcast guest reactions. Listen carefully. There are moments, pauses, awkward laughs, careful redirections, where guests don't quite agree but won't say so on record.
Was reading an article about how girls tend to raise their hand less and less as time goes on.
when Serena Williams has to choose her words carefully, when Paris Hilton redirects the conversation, when Mariah Carey doesn't validate your comparisons. Those moments say more than any headline. Watch the pauses. They tell you everything. It's one thing for critics to question her framing. It's another when her own guests, people who agreed to appear on her podcast, people who presumably support her, can't quite bring themselves to validate certain claims. Those micro moments reveal discomfort that no amount of editing can hide. Guests were diplomatic. Award shows? Those revealed something else. Number 18, the award show moments.
It is my absolute honor and pleasure to declare this year's One Young World Summit officially open.
She treats every appearance like it's historic, every acceptance speech like recognition for tremendous sacrifice, accepting a prize from a media organization, presenting at a charity event. The gravitas she brings feels disproportionate. Every award becomes a statement. Every speech becomes a moment. The intensity never matches the occasion. It's like she treats every appearance as if it's the Oscars, every speech as if it's a historic address. The gravitas is always turned up to maximum, regardless of context. And when everything is treated as momentous, nothing actually feels momentous. Big stages got big performances, but her backstory claims, those got fact-checked. Number 19, I didn't grow up with money.
Myself included. It was through scholarships, financial aid programs, and work study, where my earnings from a job on campus went directly towards my tuition, that I was able to attend university.
She's talked about not growing up wealthy, working multiple jobs, struggling. Her father won an Emmy as a Hollywood lighting director. She attended private Catholic school, significant tuition, Northwestern University, not cheap. The came from nothing narrative doesn't match the private school reality. The hardship narrative is useful. It makes success more impressive. But when details don't match framing, people notice. They remember. Was there financial instability after her parents divorced? Possibly. But private school, Northwestern, and Hollywood connections don't scream struggle. The framing was exaggerated, and in an age where everything can be fact-checked, exaggeration becomes liability. And now, the one that triggered international headlines. Number 20, the South Park episode.
We want privacy! We want privacy! All right, thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be.
South Park dedicated an entire episode to mocking Harry and Meghan as the privacy tour couple, constantly demanding privacy while doing everything possible to stay in the spotlight. It was brutal. It was funny. Millions watched. Reports emerged. Meghan was upset and frustrated. But South Park mocks everyone. Every president, every celebrity. Getting South Parked is a rite of passage. If you're famous enough to be mocked by South Park, you've made it. The problem is how you respond. The reported reaction, taking it personally, being genuinely hurt, revealed something. For someone who presents as confident and unbothered, why did this hit so hard?
We want privacy! We want privacy! We want privacy!
The joke landed because it was accurate. You can't spend years demanding privacy while producing documentaries, podcasts, interviews, and memoirs. South Park pointed out what millions had been thinking, and it's hard to argue with a joke that millions laugh at because they recognize the truth. Remember the pattern from number 6? Privacy when it suits her, publicity when it suits her. South Park just animated what everyone had been observing for years. The privacy tour label stuck because it was accurate. And once something becomes a punchline, it's very hard to recover from. 20 moments, all real, all documented, all available for anyone to watch. And I know you're thinking of one I missed. That's the point. This list isn't exhaustive. It couldn't be. There are too many clips, too many instances where the carefully managed image slipped just enough. 20 was a starting point, not a final count. Drop your moment in the comments, the one that made you cringe, the one you can't forget. Let's build the ultimate list together. Because if there's one thing this audience knows, it's how to spot patterns. You've been watching, you've been noticing, You've been storing observations for years. Now you have a place to share them. Subscribe if you want more compilations. We've got years of footage to work with. This audience has been paying attention. This audience remembers. And apparently, so does South Park. And so does the internet. Forever.